Coming to you live from our studios on Slaughterhouse Road in Belize City. This is Love Television's Evening News for today, Wednesday, May 20th. To start off this edition of the news, we take a look at the top stories. Two Orange Walk men charged with arson following Monday's burning of BSI ASR cane field. Employee from Santander Sugar Mill dies after falling off a roof on Tuesday. Vision inspired by the people continues consultation on Petro Caribe Loans Act, reiterates position on International Court of Justice, and inauguration ceremony held for rehabilitated portion of Old Northern Highway. Since Monday, we have been reporting that two men had been detained pending charges after a cane field belonging to BSI ASR was set ablaze. Today, police charged Efrain Alpuche and Saulito Vasquez with arson. Officer in charge of Orange Walk Police, Superintendent Dennis Arnold, updated the media.
The forensic was here because they were called in by myself as the officer commanding Orange Walk. What happened with that pickup, it was alleged that it was on the site where the cane field was burned. Part of that vehicle was left on the scene, hence for the forensic analysis.
And were you waiting on the results of that forensic analysis to lay charges this evening?
Partially, yes.
All right, sir, could you clarify for us the circumstances of the detention of Mr. Vasquez and Mr. Alpuche?
Clarify it in what way?
In terms of when it happened, where it happened on Monday evening?
It was San Lorenzo Road, Gainfield area. What happened, we had gotten a complaint that a blue pickup was in the area, and the complainant had made mention that the pickup had stopped, and not even 10 seconds, they heard a bang, and shortly, seconds after, they saw smoke and fire. Police was called in. Well, that day we were expecting anything, right? So we had a lot of patrol. We have about 6 or 7 patrols because we had assistance from Belmopan and Belize City. We have the MIT and the SPU officers came in to assist us, right? So we had cane field patrol also, right? So officers wasn't far from that area. So when we got that call, officers went to the scene, and upon arriving at the scene, I believe it was some quarter mile away, they saw that vehicle. They stopped that said vehicle, right? But at the time they didn't know that it was that vehicle. So when the occupant of that vehicle were questioned, they said that they were going to San Antonio. So they was left to go on their way, right? But only 2 of them were in that vehicle while it's going to San Antonio. On their way back, the officers stopped the vehicle because they went to the site of the damaged cane field and gathered more information. Then it was learned that it was that vehicle.
One of the accused, Efrain Alpuche, also addressed the media.
You maintain your innocence in this?
Hell yes, I am innocent.
And
Once they're proven guilty, no?
And do you believe they can prove that you're guilty in this?
Well, I don't think so. I can't see how. No.
Sir, quite frankly, did you like the cane fields on fire?
In hindsight, had I known to get all this excitement, I should have, no?
And then one question, Madam Sir, for me, because this, what do you think the motivation is for these allegations that have been brought against you, and for you to be held till the very last minute that the law allows?
I hope I don't get myself into trouble. I would personally say it's political. Seeing the amount of manpower that is here into this thing, it's amazing when a multinational company cries and all 7 worlds move. We would have loved to have had this assistance 8 months ago when we were looking for Don Ramon Cervantes. Had we had this cooperation, I guess we would have probably had found earlier, no? And that sort of thing. But it is what it is.
No plea was taken, as the matter is an indictable one. They were offered bail in the sum of $40,000 and a surety of the same amount. They are to reappear in court on June 2nd. 3 male students have been suspended from classes at the San Pedro High School following mischievous acts involving a nude photograph. According to the acting vice principal, Giselle Flores, it is a situation that was reported to the district education officer, the board of directors, as well as an attorney, that the teacher, who was being rumored to be the subject in the nude photo, had retained.
The students have not been expelled. The false allegation, and in no school can we say that 30 students are expelled at one particular point. What has occurred is that some students have been suspended. 3 male students have been suspended. The reason for the suspension was due to the sharing of pornographic material. Once the report was brought to us, we made the necessary queries and had the students write an incident report. Then we notified the parents, and the parents came in and they were informed as to what was happening and the fact that their child had been sharing photographs or a nude photograph. The allegation is that the students were sharing a particular photograph of a teacher. However, that is a complete lie, as previously a female student, had come to report that some other students in the school had been trying to say that that particular picture was her, and that it was also false. And now recently this report came in with the exact same picture, that now it's a teacher. So they were trying to pin this picture of a random young woman to a student, and when that allegation did not stick, then they moved on to trying to pin it on the female teacher.
They had approached the teacher with the picture?
Well, no one told her. It was none of those 3 students told her. It was another student who approached her and informed her, and that's when she brought in the report to the office. They never attempted to blackmail her because it is not her, because she even went a step further and visited our district education officer and informed her of the situation. And she was willing to get legal help so that if anything, they would be taken to court, because that is a form of defamation to her character.
The 3 boys who are in second form have been sent home for 5 days, as directed by the school's board of directors, chaired by businessman Milo Paz. Flores says that the parents were called in and notified of the situation, but some did express discontent with the decision and had threatened to bring the school to shame. The board of directors met in regular session yesterday.
It is a routine meeting that they have every 2 months, and this issue came up and was discussed. The meeting was not solely on that issue, because like I mentioned, it's a routine meeting that they have. Some parents were not happy about it and would not accept that their children were involved.
Earlier today, the news came out of the incident at the school, but was blown out of proportion on the social media, saying that up to 30 students had been expelled. The details of the story were extremely inaccurate, and Flores says the school's administration was appalled at the spreading of misinformation by a member of the San Pedro community.
We were very upset because we could not believe that someone from the community would come up with something so serious, because it's a lie. As administrators, we cannot just expel people for the sake of it. It has to go through a process, and the board makes the final decision.
According to Flores, about 2 weeks ago, there was another group of students who were sent home after pictures they had taken of themselves in the nude had surfaced. Those female students have since been back to school.
There has been a suspension to some female students who had naked pictures of themselves, and they all agreed that that was them. And as a result, we took it and suspended them as well. We took it to the board as well, and the suggestion was to suspend them. It was 5 female students.
The 3 boys who were sent home today are expected to resume classes at San Pedro High School on Friday, May 29, 2015. Earlier, we met up with Education Minister Patrick Faber, who said he is unaware of the situation, but did express hope that the management of the school will handle the matter promptly. He added that he refuses at this time to comment further, as he would rather not speculate on the matter until he is fully briefed on the situation. In recent years, drivers and vehicle owners were grateful when they were given some relief at the gas pumps, as the cost of fuel had dipped as low as $7 per gallon. It was indeed a relief, as the then prices were heading to the $13 mark. But as the years progressed, that $7 had slowly been on the incline. And as recent as Monday, May 18th, the price for super gasoline reached $10, while diesel is up at $8.04. The last time the super gasoline had reached the $10 mark was in December 2014, but that was adjusted shortly after in January 2015, when there was a significant drop in price for both premium and diesel. The Vision Inspired by the People, VIP, held a press conference this morning to update the public on its position on critical issues currently affecting the country. Patrick Rogers first dealt with the Petro Caribe Loans Act and the amendments that Prime Minister Dean Barros says will be introduced at the next sitting of the House of Representatives in June.
And the amendments Mr. Barrow is doing will not allow these matters to proceed towards the court. He has still removed litigation by way of legislation. So we're saying our move to mobilize people in the street continues, Mr. Barrow, because you could have brought us to the table, not necessarily VIP, but all the stakeholders that are saying, you know what, we need to get back to the rule of law. We need to know that if in effect the loan agreement that was signed and not taken to the House to be legitimized, and the borrowings that subsequently went against this thing, if it were illegal, like we know it is based on the Finance and Audit Act and the Constitution, because at Section 114 of the Constitution, it clearly states, all revenues or other monies raised or received by Belize, not being revenues or other monies payable under this Constitution or any other law, into some other public fund established for a specific purpose, shall be paid into and form one consolidated revenue fund. So in the absence of this being legal, then the Constitution would have kicked in at 114. So that's why we're saying the Prime Minister violated our Constitution at Section 114. Had he not used that Consolidated Revenue Fund, then the Finance and Audit Act would have given him the option to set up that development fund like we were proposing, which is the route Jamaica had taken, as I had expressed to you all at our first press conference. So needless to say, we need to see this matter be litigated. We need to have Your Honor say whether or not these borrowing were in violation of the Finance and Audit Act, which we know it is, because the Finance and Audit Act clearly stated that any amount over $10 million should have been taken to the House. Now, our consultation continues. Our consultation continues because this will remain in the Petro Caribe Loans Act. This will remain in the Petro Caribe Loans Act, the general provisions of Section 3. None of that he mentioned any changes will be happening to 5, in the event of a conflict between the provisions on this act and any other law, the provisions of this act shall prevail. None of that will be changed. 6, this act shall take effect retrospectively. That won't change, you see. So our point is that he's playing games with us so that the public can think, the Prime Minister, they try work with on the man. Give him all he is. He not the work with people is. He the try can we make somehow we think that the man they try be appeasing and we the be stubborn now accept the fact that he has the power to do as he like. You do not have the power to do as you like, Mr. Prime Minister. You know the rule with.
One of the issues that VIP addressed was that of the latest development as it relates to the special agreement between Belize and Guatemala. An amendment will be signed before the month's end between both countries' foreign ministers, agreeing that the referenda will not be held simultaneously as originally agreed. In this case, Guatemala will hold its referendum first by the end of the year, presumably in November. Belize is expected to hold its referendum sometime after the elections, but the VIP is strongly against taking that matter to be settled at the International Court of Justice. Paco Smith shared more.
Straightforward. International Court of Justice. We know upon that. It's been our position since day one, and unlike individuals who are representing Her Majesty's loyal opposition, we're not involved in linguistic calisthenics and yoga. We're not changing our mouth. We're not saying anything different. We have not changed. Our position is no. On the 12th of May 2015, the GOV announced that it will allow Guatemala yet another pass by agreeing to amend the compromise, so that the stipulation of simultaneous referendum no longer stands, thereby giving Guatemala its blessings for them to hold their referendum before Belize. Now, the FM also highlighted that, and this we find very troubling from a governance standpoint, that under, and I quote, he said, under our system of governance, political leaders are elected for 5-year terms and are given responsibility to handle these matters. And so, and I highlight this, it is not our obligation to go back to the public every time we are taking an action. I don't know about you, but as Brother Patrick has pointed out quite clearly on more than one occasion, we live in a state that is characteristic of tyranny. Hence, this is yet another example of the tyranny under which we live. The ICJ is not the proper medium to address the unfounded Guatemalan claim, because Belize is the only one that stands to lose something tangible. The compromise or special agreement has yet to be taken to the Senate in order to earn authorization for its ratification in the form of such instruments which are required by law. Therefore, we believe that Belizeans must vote no to the ICJ, no exceptions. Even if the referendum is linked to the impending general elections, we must vote no to the ICJ as well as to the PUDP.
Depending on the results of the referendum in Guatemala, Belize will decide whether or not holding a referendum is necessary. For the VIP, if that happens, the Elections and Boundaries Department needs to carry out a re-registration process, as explained by Paul Morgan.
Essentially, the Commission said that re-registration is a large undertaking which will inevitably involve great deals of planning and will require substantial amounts of money. I thought that that was what the Petro Caribe money was for. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this response leads us to conclude, and all of you must conclude, that the Barrow administration will be relying on a seriously compromised voters list. They are intended on leading us into this referendum with this compromised voters list. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a travesty, especially when you consider that this referendum that the Barrow administration is leading Belize towards might and is likely to cut, and I want you to listen carefully, to cut our territory in half. That is a serious problem, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it should be something that all of us as Belizeans should pay keen attention to and should do something about.
The Mascal Road, otherwise known as the Old Northern Highway, has undergone major rehabilitation with a 5-mile stretch of newly paved road. It is the first phase of an ongoing project to completely cover the 20-mile road with hot mix pavement. The initiative comes through the Minister of State, Edmund Castro, who is also the area representative for Belize Rural North. Castro says work on the road is overdue.
The residents in my area, and most of all, I traverse this road every day, and I know the condition that this road was in. We have not have pavement on this road for some maybe 20 or 30 or 40 years. And the pavement that we are doing now with this hot mix had never been done before. So I think it's a great milestone, it's a great achievement on behalf of the residents of Belize Rural North, especially those who have to traverse the road to Mascal, Alton Ha, and so on any given day. And when the tourism is at its peak, we would sometimes see 30, 40, up to 50 buses on this highway. And with some of the edges along the road, which was 7 to 12 inches drop, it was very devastating for our small vehicular traffic, the people that used to traverse, especially the farmers are very happy to have had the improvement on the road. We have those from the tourism industry. It was almost next to impossible for someone with a small car to take a tour into Alton Ha because the condition was so bad. And now we have more and will continue to see more traffic in our road because of the great improvement that we were able to achieve through Petro Caribe, the government of Belize.
Castro said the improved road conditions will benefit residents of the area as well as the tourism industry.
I think this type of pavement we had never received. So in 40 or 50 years, we had never received such a nice road. Another 30, 40 years, this road will be here. Even when I'm gone, some 50 years from now, this road will still be in good condition. The way how we are building it with the hot mix. What we are doing, it's 20 miles to Moscow. We are trying to do it in phases. We do not have the money to do the entire 20 miles all at once. So we are doing it in different phases. The first phase was 5 miles, which we are here to inaugurate the first 5 miles, completion of the first 5 miles. And we have already begun another 7 miles, which will take us close to King's College. So one more phase from there and we'll be just about where Alton Ha is, and not Alton Ha, Maruba. So another 10 miles from Kings we will be by Maruba, and I think I will continue to lobby so that we could at least reach by Maruba, which will be a great plus, not only just for the farmers, but also for the tourism industry and so on. So the residents of Mascal and the Old Road 9 villages are very happy, and you will see that they will return their area representative one more time to represent them.
The guest speaker at this morning's ceremony was Minister of Human Development, Social Transformation and Poverty Alleviation, Anthony Boots Martinez.
Well, this has been an initiative of Minister Castro for years. From I was Minister of Works, he was my deputy, and this has been a project that we have been pushing for a long time ago, well-deserved project, especially for the residents of the Old Road and also for the tourism sector. Because you know Alton Ha is right down the street, so again, it is very important, and I think that the time has come that we support it in our cabinet at least to get the first 5 miles.
Work on an additional 7 miles continues. A Guatemalan national lost his life in an accident at Santander Sugar Mill on Tuesday evening. Correspondent Cruz has the story.
Acting upon information received on Tuesday evening, May 19, sometime around 5:55, Belmopan police visited the Western Regional Hospital emergency ward, where they saw the lifeless body of a Hispanic descent male person lying face up, apparently dead. He was identified to be 22-year-old Nelson Ivan Davila Soto, Guatemalan construction worker of Santander Sugar Factory, located in the Banana Bank area of Kitty Bank. Love News understand that sometime around 4:30 yesterday evening, May 19, Soto was working on top of a building at Santander Sugar Factory compound when he fell from the top of the roof. Soto was rushed to the Western Regional Hospital by the Human Resource Manager for Santander Sugar Factory, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Reporting for Love News from the village of Rowan Creek, I am Angelica Cruz.
5 Toledo farmers were presented recognition awards for outstanding work in organic cacao production. We hear more in this report from correspondent Paul Mahung.
The recognition and appreciation plaques were from the Toledo Cacao Growers Association, as explained by TCGA Compliance Officer Esteban Ace Jr.
While the event, the TCGA AGM on Saturday, was geared towards highlighting the activities of the 2013-2014 for TCGA, it was also a time for recognizing our farmers who have continued the hard work in cacao production with us. These farmers were placed in different categories. Farmer of the Year, Mr. Luciano Shaw from San Antonio Village, has an acreage of over 26 acres of cacao and newly planted 5 acres. The Farmer of the Year was recognized not only for the efforts in cacao production, but also how he contributes to other community activities and also his future with the TCGA. The Female Farmer of the Year, Ms. Margarita Bull from San Antonio, has a total acreage of 2 acres. And this is a positive movement as we want to engage more women in agriculture in cacao production. The farmer with diversified farm, Mr. Eugenio, has an existing 5 acres and continues to expand. His farm is in the crop with other fruit trees, timber trees, and overall the beautification of it is great. Our most productive farmer of the year, Mr. Sylvester Peck of San Jose Village, has 6 acres and growing. At peak seasons, he would sell the most 1,500 pounds per week of wet beans. And last but not least, our junior farmer from Krikihute Village, Mr. Elvid Chiak, 21 years of age, who also is cultivating over 6 years of cacao. And this is what we want our young generation to continue going into agriculture and going into cacao production.
Esteban Ace Jr. of TCGA. The recognition plaques on behalf of management staff and over 500 registered members of Toledo Cacao Growers Association were presented to the 5 Toledo farmers by Hula Saki of Chi'il Chocolate of Maya Center during TCGA recent annual general meeting held at the newly inaugurated Mayan House of Cacao in Toledo. This report is sponsored by Golden Stream Spice Farm Restaurant in Toledo, with a variety of delicious cuisine and on-site tour for sensational experience of the Spice Farm is available. Contact 732-4014. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahone, Punta Gorda.
Yesterday, we brought you the story of a Russian national who lives in Hopkins Village, Stan Creek District, whose home was invaded by 3 masked men in late April. We also brought you the story of an American national whose home was invaded last week, as well as in early April, there was an incident where foreigners who were camping in the village were robbed. At the time of the robbery, in early April, a vocal resident, Tricia Whipfler, had expressed concerns over the lack of police officers in the village. With the recent reports of crimes being committed in the village, we spoke to one of the villagers, Mickey Castillo, to ask him to share with us his observations in the village as they pertain to security and policing.
There is a police station here in Hopkins. It's right at the entrance. And indeed, there would be times that you go by that police station and you get no response whatsoever from any police officer. And I myself, I live on the north side of town, north side of Hopkins. Yeah, if I tell you that I have seen a police uniform on the street within the past 4 or 5 months, I would be lying to you because I have not. So, and that was a concern that I was talking with one of my buddies last night, because we were talking about this rush of burglaries, right? Because one, it does nothing for the Hopkins tourist economy. It doesn't. Actually, it will turn off people from coming to Hopkins having, gotten these reports. So we were talking about, when was the last time you seen a police, taking a patrol? And both our responses to one another was man, it's been so long, I'm not even certain that they have a police here in Hopkins. I had seen a couple of guys who were policemen, they were riding on bikes, on motorbikes. But that I assume would have been convenient indeed, because the roads here in Hopkins are not the best, right? So having a motorbike, I think they would call them trail bikes, would be the best indeed to kind of run around the village and do patrols and that kind of stuff. But again, I will repeat that I have not seen a police at least a uniform. Because one would think that, having a police uniform would be a deterrent to these criminals, right? But I haven't seen any, in quite a long time.
In our interview yesterday with the Russian national, Viktor Bogomolov, he told Love News that he believes that residents of the village are well aware of the identities of the three men who entered his home, but that no one is speaking. Castillo weighed in on the matter.
I don't know if, that would be totally right. Because, take a person like myself. We have a lot of, people who are living in Hopkins, who were born here in Hopkins, but have not been here for such a long time. So for them to, if they probably hear rumors or whatever the case may be, they might be able to point fingers. But do you want to point a finger at somebody who is really innocent? I don't know if I personally, I wouldn't want to do that. But like any other community, right? Any other small community of the size of Hopkins, people do know one another. And for some will, of course, they will, if given the opportunity, if the police come to them and speak with them, they will, of course, hear, what the information they have. But if there's no interaction or little interaction between the police and the community, there's no expectation of any information given to the police. None whatsoever. Because, like myself, if I have any information about any crime, it is, even though, it would bode me well to walk to the police station and deliver this information, but by virtue of the lack of interaction between the police and myself, why would I want to do that? Right? So that's part of the problem. The police need to do, what was done, in the past, do proper community policing. In other words, interact with the people properly. Don't interact with the people only when it is time to try and solve a crime. Really? Because if you're living here with us, interact with us. You have a better chance of getting information if you're interacting with us properly. Like I said, I haven't seen a police, at least in a uniform. I don't know the police officers because, one, they're not here. Two, they don't interact. So if they would have a uniform, then that would, make me easier to, identify who is who. So that's a part of the issue. But while I understand the person who had gotten robbed, he's a foreigner, I understand his feeling. I would feel the same way if I go to a place that I'm not from, and I get robbed and nobody is coming up with information. Of course I would feel that way. I would feel isolated. Right? But he cannot throw a blanket statement like that. Well, he can, but it would not be right. It is not right.
Hopkins Village is a coastal Garifuna village in the Stand Creek district with an estimated population of 1,500 persons. In early March, we brought you the story where a resident of Hopkins Village in the Stand Creek district was complaining of the neglect of the thoroughfares in that rural part of the country, as the streets and roads were impassable due to the craters and the muck that comes about in rainy weather. It has been over 2 months since she made the appeal to the media, and since she has written to the proper authorities requesting come attention on the matter, today we checked with another resident of the village to tell us if there have been any changes, and apparently there hasn't been any.
Let me see if I can use some words to describe the roads on the north side of Hopkins. Atrocious, horrible, right? And I'm being kind when I say that. They have dumped on the road, just a little past me here. They dumped on the road. And I seen that heavy equipment that has the roller, that I would think would press down the material on the road, move past that particular pile, which is literally in the middle of the street. They have some holes in those streets. When it rains, it is literally a swimming pool. Literally. It is. If there's a pedestrian walking and there's a vehicle coming, unless that vehicle stops, that pedestrian would have to step in the water or will get wet when that vehicle passes. It is atrocious, and it's not only just one section. There are a couple of spots that was paved probably a few years ago, and they still maintain that pave, right? But there's a significant portion of it. The holes they are literally craters, literally. So the roads on the north side are atrocious. And for some reason, indeed, and you have there's some construction that is taking place on the north end, and you have some big trucks that are passing through. These big vehicles degrade the road. It doesn't help the road, you know. And for some reason, nobody seems to be able to have them travel through the back of the village rather than through the main street, where our school children, our local pedestrians, be riding their bikes or walking and that kind of stuff. Personally, I think it's an accident waiting to happen. That's my personal thing. I would wish it doesn't happen, but I can see it happening. So the roads are atrocious. I don't know who is responsible to take care of those roads, but whoever it is, they better do something about it. And I will advocate to my people that, that whatever we can do, if we have to write somebody, call somebody, that's what we will do.
Love News made attempts at contacting personnel at the Ministry of Works, but those proved futile. As a result of the partnership between the government of Belize and the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, the Tilapia Hatchery Center was officially opened today at Central Farm, Cayo. The center will be dedicated to aquaculture and tilapia farming. Representing government was Deputy Prime Minister Gaspar Vega, while Ambassador Benjamin Ho represented the Taiwanese government. Correspondent Elaine Berry was there and filed this report.
Love News spoke to Miguel Sosa, project coordinator, on the inauguration of the Tilapia Hatchery Center.
The farm is based property of 13 acres, and it has one water reservoir, 16 ponds, 12 concrete tanks, a nursery with 16 other tanks, 8 circular geomembrane tanks. So it is really a demonstration farm for people to come and look at and see. The farm is growing gray and red tilapia, and we sell fingerlings to the population of it. We have 3 different kinds of ponds because we have noticed that when we're growing tilapia, if we have them in a small tank and we keep them for a certain period of time, we can then transfer them to another tank and they can grow with a growth spurt. So we go changing them from smaller to larger tanks, encouraging a growth spurt in the tilapia.
Okay, after going in the third pond, which we go from small, medium, and large, what the Ministry of Agriculture will be doing with the tilapia?
Well, we sell fingerlings to the farmers, and we would then provide technical service to the farmers once we have the fish to help them in the growing of the tilapia. And the farm's function is mainly to sell baby fish, or what we call tilapia fingerlings. But we do have space where we can grow some fish to market size. And market size in Belize is about £1 for a tilapia.
The cutting of the ribbon was done by Ambassador Ho and Honorable Gaspar Vega. The cutting of the ribbon was done to officially and formally declare and inaugurate the Tilapia Hatchery Center, followed by the touring of the center by Miguel Sosa and Louis Joe. This news report is being sponsored by Rockford Limited. Reporting for Love News from Central Farm, Elaine Berry.
A road safety program workshop was held today in Belmopan. Correspondent Fem Cruz reports.
Today, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, under the Road Safety Project, held a one-day curriculum development workshop at the George Price Center for Peace and Development in Belmopan. According to Darren Duval, international consultant, this workshop was to educate teachers on how to deliver road safety in school and to help them create a generational change.
The importance of the workshop today is that what we're trying to do is make Belize safer in the long term. So we're trying to educate teachers on how to deliver road safety in schools, talk to students who are from the preschool level right up to the tertiary level, and make sure that we're actually creating a generational change so that the next generation of road users are safer than the last, and then onwards with sustainability, making sure that the teachers understand how to deliver road safety beyond this next generation and beyond that generation, so we become safer and safer with our road use in Belize.
Love News spoke to Errol Gentle, CEO from the Ministry of Works, about the government role in the process, and also spoke to one of the participants, teacher Tashira Swift.
Within the classroom in the life skills sessions with my first and third year students, we focus on what are some road safety tips that they could do as pedestrians or even being in the car with their parents to prevent any road traffic accident. For the most part, the curriculum provided some very hands-on activities, and so the students were able to share their opinions and then also participate in activities that really had them thinking and putting into context the information that was given. So for the most part, I think that they were able to, that they do have a role to play when it comes to reducing road traffic accidents.
But from the loss of one Belizean life due to road traffic crashes is one too many. And therefore the government of Belize is determined to ensure that we make the roads safer in an effort to reduce the number of fatalities on our highway. And today's workshop is just one of the segments of what we call the safe system approach, whereby we are trying to go into the schools from the preschool level up to high schools to ensure this information is passed on, included in the curriculum, so that our students will be educated on safe road using habits.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the nation's capital city, Belmopan, for Love FM.
Belize has been listed as a confirmed destination for Southwest Airlines, following dialogue between representatives of the carrier and an official delegation from Belize. Reports are that a press conference was held at the Houston City Hall in Houston, Texas, USA. In that conference, the airline's chief executive officer, Gary Kelly, announced that the daily direct flights will go to Belize, Mexico, and Costa Rica, beginning Thursday, October 15, 2015. Scheduled for completion in October in Houston is the construction of an international terminal project at a cost of $156 million. In addition, the Houston airport system is currently conducting works in improving the parking facilities and airport roadways to support the additional flights. Also present at the conference was Houston's mayor, Anise Parker, while Belize was represented by the Director of Tourism, Karen Bevins, the Chairman for the Belize Tourism Board, Dr. Carla Barnett, Marketing Director, Karen Pike, and personnel from Tropic Air and the Belize Airport Concession. Tickets on Southwest Airlines are already on sale online at $127 for a one-way ticket. This news broadcast comes to you live from Love Television Studios in Belize City. Still to come, a look at the weather forecast.
Big shots, great vision, greater action. By youths, for youths, building our nation.
The show that is not afraid to tackle the issues that you care about. The show that is inspired and created by youth for youth. The show that gives you what you've been asking for. The show that gives you a voice.
Big Chats.
Yes, Belize, the Belize Family Life Association's youth advocacy movement is back with the #1 rated teen show on the airwaves, Big Chats, at 3 p.m. on Love TV and More FM. Now with more surprises, more segments, more giveaways, and more burning issues. Tune in and log on to Big Chats.
Coming to you live, bringing you facts. Youths on the movement, call it Big Chats.
Public drinking, not in my city.
Double riding, brother, not in my city.
Littering, not in my city.
Drinking, not on the vessel, not in my city.
Loitering, not in my city.
Not in my classroom and not in my city.
Why? I need to search you.
Search me for what?
Don't ask me no question. I the police.
Police abuse, not in my city.
This message is brought to you by the Police Department and the Love Foundation.
Big shots, great vision, greater action. By youths, for youths, building our nation.
The show that is not afraid to tackle the issues that you care about. The show that is inspired and created by youth for youth. The show that gives you what you've been asking for. The show that gives you a voice.
Big Chats.
Yes, Belize, the Belize Family Life Association's youth advocacy movement is back with the #1 rated teen show on the airwaves. Big Chats. At 3 p.m. on Love TV and More FM. Now with more surprises, more segments, more giveaways, and more burning issues. Tune in and log on to Big Chats.
Coming to you live, bringing you facts. Youths on the movement, call it Big Chats.
Public drinking, not in my city.
Double riding, brother, not in my city.
Littering, not in my city.
Drinking, not on the vessel, not in my city.
Loitering, not in my city.
Not in my classroom and not in my city.
Wife, I need to search you. Search me for what? Don't ask me no question. I the police. Police abuse, not in my city.
This message is brought to you by the Police Department and the Love Foundation.
Welcome back to Love Television's Evening News. The Department of Youth Services held an open day today to highlight some of the services it provides to young people. Reporter Janine Ayuso was there and filed this report.
The Department of Youth Services is a youth agency that looks to empower young people. Tomorrow Starts Today is the department's guide to a vision for safe, healthy, and successful youths. The department has made an effort to improve the services it has to offer, and today it held an open day to highlight some of those services. One of the new services is a recording studio.
I better find your loving, I better find your heart.
Minister of Education, Youth and Sports, Patrick Farber, was on hand.
We have been, as you've seen, having as a focus in our ministry the creation of more youth-friendly spaces. You saw, in fact, our collaboration with the Ministry of Human Development and the opening of the Gateway Youth Center some time ago. And in fact, now, the home of the Department of Youth Services, we wanted to make it very friendly for our young people. The lounge that was opened this afternoon is a youth-friendly space. You see, it was designed by the young people themselves. You also saw the games in this room. So this is a space they can come and they can hang out, if you will. In other countries, they call it liming. You lime here and you stay out of trouble on the street. But as I've said, a long-standing plan that we have had is to create a state-of-the-art music studio, and you will all agree, I suppose, after seeing it, that it is indeed a state-of-the-art facility where we can produce the music of our young people who believe they can sing.
Youths will have the opportunity to make the most of the recording studio.
The bulk of the service, of course, will be for Belize City residents. But I am sure that we can make arrangements for out of Belize City young people to be able to utilize the facilities as well, because we do want to encourage our talent from all over the country to be a part of what it is we're doing.
Youth volunteer Sabrina Daly told us that the department not only attracts a large number of students, but also volunteers who help in making the programs a success.
So far, it's been an amazing experience to see them actually, their faces light up to see all that we're offering here in the studio right now was one of the biggest thing for me. Like, I walked in and I saw them all lighting up, and when I walked in, a boy was in the studio and he was rapping, and I was like, wow, and all the passion, as well to see actual volunteer work there today was the most I actually saw youths volunteering, and it was really pleasing to see that, because it's kind of hard to actually get youths to come out and volunteer. Most of them want to stay home because of technology. You don't really have to come out and do anything anymore. You just stay behind your computer, tablets, TV. So it was really pleasing to see youths out here wanting change, wanting to be empowered, wanting to help. So that overall, that was really, really passionate and really good to see. There's a lot of schools coming in and out, classes after classes. They fed them, of course, snacks and stuff like that. So we also got to see different programs and what they were doing. The youths were informed, and I thought it was something overall, really, it was like a success.
While the open day showcased a number of services, the new recording studio attracted the most attention. One student told us he's going to take his talent off the paper and into the mic.
So far, since I've been here, I like the internet cafe because they said they have free internet, and also the studios because since I was small, I was more of like a poet. I would sing poets like when I was alone or boring, but since now I've been getting older, I've seen to get into more social music, so maybe I'll come back and use the studio sometime, me and my classmate, because when we're at school, we usually write down songs in our books when we get free period and other times. So that is what I would be utilizing from this department.
Mr. Faber, just big up. You got we just get to education and live long, live up. We tell you say big up. Tell them everybody in at the station what me just live up with them.
The equipment for the new studio was derived through funds from the Southside Poverty Alleviation Project. Reporting for Love News, I am.
Our thought conditioner for today comes from Robert Anthony. He said, and we quote, "Most people would rather be certain they're miserable than risk being happy." End of quote. To have your thought conditioner featured in this segment of our news, send us an email at news@lovetv.com.bz. This has been the evening news on Love Television. Thanks for watching. I am Taryn Butcher.